The champagne glass shattered against marble before I even registered I was falling. One moment I was arranging raspberry tarts on crystal platters in the gilded ballroom of the Shilla Hotel. The next my knees buckled and the world tilted sideways. Black spots danced at the edges of my vision. I remember thinking this was it. I was going to crack my skull open in front of 200 of Seoul's wealthiest elite, and my catering career would die before it ever really started. Then arms caught me, strong arms that smelled like bergamot, and something darker like aged leather and expensive whiskey, and smoke from a fire you shouldn't stand too close to. I should have felt relieved. Instead, every instinct I possessed screamed danger. When I forced my eyes open, I found myself staring up at the most beautiful and terrifying man I'd ever seen. Sharp jaw covered in precisely trimmed stubble, dark eyes that looked black in the chandelier light, but caught gold when they moved. A face that belonged in historical dramas, all brutal angles and aristocratic lines that suggested generations of power and violence. He was holding me like I weighed nothing, cradled against a chest that felt like stone wrapped in silk. "Easy," he said, his voice low and accented, Korean with an undertone that suggested years abroad, rich and rolling like dark honey. "I've got you." That's when I felt it. His hand at my throat, not choking me, just touching. His fingers had gone to the necklace I was wearing, the vintage piece I'd bought at an estate sale last week, for 50,000 won because the emeralds matched my catering uniform and I thought it looked elegant enough to make me seem professional instead of desperate. His entire body had gone rigid. His fingers traced the stones with something like reverence, like shock, like recognition. "Where did you get this?" His voice had dropped to barely above a whisper, and somehow that made it more dangerous. The ballroom around us had gone quiet. People were staring. "Estate sale," I managed, my head still spinning. "Can you put me down?" He didn't. His dark eyes were fixed on the necklace, and I watched something shift in his expression. Recognition, possession, something primal that made my stomach drop, even though I was already in his arms. Then he said it. One word that would change everything. "Ours." I didn't understand. Before I could ask what he meant, someone was shouting for a medic, and the man was carrying me through the crowd like he owned the place. Maybe he did. Everyone moved out of his way. Some looked terrified, others looked fascinated. A few women watched with something like envy in their eyes. "Wait," I tried to protest, my voice weak. "My friend. She's the photographer. Maya. I need to tell her." "She knows. My men will inform her." His tone said the discussion was over, like he was used to giving orders that weren't questioned. His men? That's when real fear kicked in. "Who are you?" His eyes met mine. Something almost like amusement flickered there. "Min Dante. And you just fainted wearing my family's stolen necklace worth 300 million won." The world went black again. If you're already hooked, smash that subscribe button, because what happens next will blow your mind. I woke up in a room that definitely wasn't a hospital. Too quiet, too expensive, Egyptian cotton sheets that probably cost more than my monthly rent. The scent of fresh roses from a massive arrangement on the dresser. A window overlooking the Han River at night, the city lights reflecting off the water like scattered diamonds. And Min Dante sitting in a leather chair beside the bed, turning my 50,001 necklace over in his hands like it was made of starlight and centuries-old secrets. "You're awake." He didn't look up from the necklace. His voice was softer now, less commanding, almost careful. "The doctor said it was exhaustion and severe low blood sugar." "When did you last eat a proper meal?" "Yesterday, maybe." I tried to sit up and my head spun. The room was beautiful, cream walls, dark wood furniture, art that looked old and valuable. "Give me back my necklace." "No." The flatness of it shocked me into silence. I stared at him, really looked at him now. Mid-30s maybe, tall, I remembered that from when he'd carried me. Broad-shouldered beneath a charcoal suit that fit him like it had been sewn onto his body. Dark hair styled back from a face that was too harsh to be conventionally handsome but somehow magnetic anyway. A small scar above his left eyebrow. Hands that looked like they could either create art or break bones, and I had a feeling they'd done both. "That's mine," I said, forcing strength into my voice. I paid for it. You paid 50,000 won for the Yaksok Y Mogyoli, the necklace of promises. Now he did look at me, and those dark eyes pinned me like a butterfly to a board. It was commissioned in 1624 by my ancestor for his bride. It's been in my family for 400 years. It was stolen from my grandmother's throat 10 years ago during an attack that killed her and 3 of our men. My mouth went dry. I didn't steal it. I bought it legally at an estate sale in Gangnam. There was an old woman, she said it was her mother's, that it brought her family luck, that maybe it would bring me some too. I paid 50,000 won cash, and she gave me a receipt. Luck. His laugh was bitter, sharp-edged. Is that what she called it? He stood, and I realized how tall he really was, how he filled the space with something more than just physical presence, authority, danger, the kind of power that made people move before he even asked them to. There's a legend attached to this necklace, a curse or a blessing, depending on who you believe, depending on which stories you trust. I don't believe in curses. You're wearing one. He moved closer to the bed, and I resisted the urge to pull the sheets up higher. I was still in my catering uniform. Someone had removed my shoes, but otherwise left me dressed. Small mercy. Every woman who's worn this necklace has either married into the Min family or died trying to take it off. My great-great-great-grandmother wore it for 60 years. My grandmother wore it from her wedding day until assassins killed her. She died wearing it, protecting my father from men who wanted to destroy our family. I laughed. It came out shaky. That's insane, it's just jewelry. Old jewelry, apparently expensive jewelry, but it's not magical. Curses aren't real. Aren't they? He set the necklace on the bedside table, close enough for me to reach, but he made no move to give it to me. You want to know what's real, Amara Okafor? 5 crime families in Seoul know that necklace resurfaced tonight. They saw you wearing it, and now they're trying to figure out who you are, where you live, and how they can use you to get to it. My blood turned to ice. How do you know my name? I know everything about you now. He said it, matter-of-factly. Amara Chinwe Okafor, 27 years old. Graduated from culinary school 3 years ago. You're trying to keep your mother's bakery from being sold to developers. You work 3 jobs, catering, the bakery, and night shifts at a hotel restaurant. You're 80 million won in debt from your mother's medical bills before she died. You live in a studio apartment in Itaewon, where the door lock has been broken for 2 months, and your landlord won't fix it. You eat 1 meal a day if you're lucky. You've lost 7 kilograms in the last 6 months. Each fact was like a slap. You had me investigated, while I was unconscious. I had you protected. His voice hardened. There's a difference. As of tonight, you became the most valuable and most endangered person in Seoul. Not because of who you are, but because of what you're wearing. Then take it. I don't want it. Keep the necklace. I'll sign whatever you need. I just want to go home. Home to your apartment where the door doesn't lock. Home to a neighborhood where 3 of my rivals have already placed surveillance. He pulled out his phone, showed me a photo. My apartment building. A man standing outside with a gun barely visible under his jacket. The timestamp was from 40 minutes ago. That's the Park family. They're watching your building. The Huangs have someone stationed at your bakery. The Russians from Itaewon have put a tail on Maya. Ice flooded my veins. Maya. Oh God. You have to protect her. She doesn't know anything about this. She was just helping me tonight because I needed an assistant and she's already protected. I have 3 men watching her without her knowledge. She'll go home safely. He pocketed the phone. But you? You can't go home, Amara. Not tonight. Not until I handle this situation. Handle it how? His expression went cold, distant. You don't want to know the details. Trust me on that. I don't trust you at all. I don't even know you. I swung my legs out of bed, and the room tilted dangerously. I gripped the mattress. You can't keep me here. This is kidnapping. This is survival. He moved to the door, and I thought he was leaving. Instead, he locked it from the inside and turned back to me. Let me explain something about my world, because you're in it now whether you want to be or not. In Seoul, there are 6 families that control everything the police don't. The Koreans, that's us, the Mins, the Russians, the Chinese, the Yakuza, the Vietnamese, and the Parks, who are also Korean but not family, which makes them more dangerous than strangers. He moved to the window, looking out at the city. We have territories, rules, treaties that have held for decades. But the Yaksuk wa Mogioli? He glanced back at me. That's different, that's legend, that's power. Every family knows the story. They know what it represents. And they know that whoever controls the necklace controls a piece of Min history, which means they have leverage over me. So give it to them, end this. You think it's that simple? His voice was soft, dangerous. The moment I hand over the necklace, I show weakness. I admit I can be threatened, manipulated. Every family in Korea will come for me, testing boundaries, pushing limits, taking territory. His hands clenched into fists at his sides. And they'll kill you anyway, Amara. Because you're a loose end, a witness, someone who wore what belongs to me, someone I showed concern for in front of witnesses. You showed concern by carrying me out of a ballroom and kidnapping me to your— What is this place? My private residence, one of them. He turned from the window. I own properties throughout the city. This is the one I keep for myself, the one very few people know about. So I should feel honored. The words came out bitter. You brought me to your secret lair. What happens now? You lock me in a tower until you decide what to do with me? Something flickered in his expression. I'm not the villain you think I am. You're a crime boss. You just told me you control half of Seoul. You had me investigated while I was unconscious. You've locked me in a room and told me I can't leave. I stood, even though my legs were shaking. What exactly am I supposed to think you are? He crossed the room in 3 strides. And suddenly he was there, close enough that I could smell that scent again. Bergamot and smoke and something underneath that was just him. You're supposed to think I'm the only thing standing between you and 5 families who would kill you to get what you're wearing. You're supposed to trust that I'm keeping you here because the alternative is finding your body in the Han River tomorrow morning. His voice dropped lower. And you're supposed to understand that when I said the word ours, when I caught you, I meant it in ways I'm still trying to figure out myself. My breath caught. What does that mean? Instead of answering, he stepped back, put distance between us like he needed it. There's a bathroom through that door, clothes in the closet that should fit you. Mrs. Kim, my housekeeper, will bring you food in 30 minutes. Eat all of it. You're too thin. Don't tell me what to do. Someone needs to. He moved to the door, unlocked it. I have calls to make, situations to handle, people to convince that you're under my protection and therefore untouchable. His hand paused on the doorknob. Get some rest, Amara. Tomorrow I'll show you the journals. Every woman who's worn that necklace left writings. You should know what you've walked into. Dante. His name felt strange on my tongue. Intimate. He paused. That old woman at the estate sale. She knew what she was doing, didn't she? She knew what this necklace was. His expression darkened. Yes, she was Park family. They were using you as bait, trying to smoke me out to confirm if the necklace was real. They didn't count on you fainting before they could make their move. His jaw tightened. And they certainly didn't count on me being there to catch you, or on what I'd do after. What did you do? I said the word ours in front of 3 of my men and half a ballroom full of witnesses. In my world, in the old traditions, that word has power. It's a claim, a declaration. His eyes met mine. I just made you mine in front of everyone who matters, whether either of us is ready for what that means. He left. The door closed with a soft click, and I heard the lock engage from the outside. I sank back onto the bed, staring at the necklace on the nightstand. The emeralds caught the lamplight, glowing with an inner fire that seemed almost alive. 400 years old, worth 300 million won. Connected to murders and legends, and a man who'd looked at me like I was simultaneously precious and dangerous. I reached out, picked it up. The metal was warm, like it had been sitting in sunshine. The stones were cool against my palm. Just jewelry, just a necklace. So why did it feel like my life had just been divided into before and after the moment Min Dante had fastened it around my throat? Comment below. Would you trust Dante? Because Amara's about to discover this is only the beginning. I didn't sleep. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Dante's face when he'd looked at the necklace, felt his arms around me, heard that word. Ours. Around 3 a.m., I gave up on rest and explored the room. The bathroom was marble and gold, stocked with expensive toiletries that still had tags on them. Purchased just for me, I realized. The closet had clothes in my exact size. How had he known? Ranging from casual to elegant, all with tags still attached. A drawer contained unopened packages of underwear and bras. The correct sizes. That should have creeped me out. Instead, I found myself thinking about Dante making phone calls in the middle of the night, ordering clothes for a woman he'd just met. A woman he'd claimed as his in front of witnesses. I showered, letting the hot water wash away the exhaustion and fear. When I emerged, wrapped in a robe that was softer than anything I'd ever owned, I found a tray of food on the desk. Mrs. Kim had come and gone without me hearing. The food was still warm: kimchi jjigae, rice, banchan, fruit. More than I usually ate in 2 days. I was halfway through the soup when I heard it. Music. Coming from somewhere in the apartment. Piano. Someone playing Chopin with the kind of skill that suggested years of training. I followed the sound in bare feet, padding through the hallway. The apartment was bigger than I'd thought. A sprawling penthouse that seemed to take up the entire top floor of the building. More art on the walls, sculptures on pedestals. Everything chosen with care, with taste, with an eye for beauty that seemed at odds with what I knew about Dante's profession. The music led me to a room with double doors standing open. I stopped at the threshold. Dante sat at a grand piano, still dressed, but with his jacket discarded, shirt sleeves rolled to his elbows. His fingers moved over the keys with surprising delicacy. His eyes were closed, his face relaxed in a way I hadn't seen before, younger, less burdened. I must have made a sound because his eyes opened. His hands stilled on the keys. You should be sleeping. So should you. I don't sleep much. He gestured to a chair near the piano. Come, sit. I should have gone back to the bedroom, locked the door, kept distance between myself and this dangerous man who'd upended my life. Instead, I found myself crossing the room, sinking into the chair. You play beautifully, I said. My mother insisted I learn. She said music was the only thing that could civilize savage men. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. She was probably right. When I play, I remember being 7 years old, watching her fingers on the keys, believing the world was safe because she was in it. When did she die? When I was 12. Cancer. His fingers traced the keys without pressing them. Fast. Brutal? 3 months from diagnosis to grave. My father became different after. Harder. The parts of him she kept human died with her. I'm sorry, the words felt inadequate. I lost my mother too, 2 years ago, also cancer. His eyes met mine, and I saw understanding there, shared grief. That's why you're killing yourself to save her bakery, why you work 3 jobs and barely eat, why you fainted tonight. The bakery is all I have left of her. She built it from nothing, spent 30 years perfecting recipes, building relationships with the neighborhood, creating something that was hers. My throat tightened. I can't let it die. I won't. Even if saving it kills you? Better than living knowing I let it go. Dante studied me for a long moment. Then he stood, moved to a bar cart, poured 2 glasses of amber liquid. He handed me one. Whiskey, Korean. My grandfather's recipe. Technically illegal, but no one dares shut down our distillery. I sipped. It burned, but warmly. Tasted like honey and oak and something spicy. It's good. Everything my family does, we do well. Even the illegal things, especially the illegal things. He settled in the chair across from me. Tell me about the bakery. What makes it special? So I did. I told him about my mother's famous chin-chin, the way she'd adapted her Nigerian grandmother's recipe to Korean tastes without losing the authenticity. About the regulars who'd been coming for decades, who knew my mother's name and now knew mine. About the smell of bread baking at 4 a.m., the way flour dust caught the morning light, the satisfaction of pulling perfect loaves from the oven. Dante listened without interrupting. When I finished, he said, "You love it. Not just because it was hers, because it's yours too." Yes, it felt like a confession. Is that stupid? Killing myself for a failing business in a neighborhood that's being gentrified out of existence? No, it's human. He swirled his whiskey. I kill myself every day maintaining an empire built on blood and fear and secrets. At least your legacy is bread and pastries and making people happy. His expression darkened. Mine is corpses in territory and making sure people are too afraid to challenge me. Do you want to do something else? The question seemed to surprise him. No one's ever asked me that. I'm asking. He was quiet for a long time. Then, when I was young, before my mother died, I wanted to be an architect. I loved the idea of building things that would outlast me, creating beauty that served a purpose. I'd sketch buildings in notebooks, design houses and museums and churches. He smiled bitterly. Then my mother died and my father sat me down and explained that I was the heir, that the family needed me, that I didn't get to choose my life. And I've spent the last 23 years being exactly what I was supposed to be. That sounds lonely. It is. He met my eyes. Until tonight, when I caught a woman who'd literally fallen into my world, wearing my family's lost necklace. A woman who looks at me like I'm human instead of monster. Who argues with me instead of cowering. Who makes me remember what it felt like to want something other than power and revenge and survival. The air between us felt charged, electric, dangerous. Dante. My voice came out softer than I intended. What does ours mean? You said it when you caught me. Your men heard it. You said it has power in your world. What does it mean? He set down his glass, leaned forward, elbows on his knees. In the old ways, the traditions my grandfather's grandfather followed, when a man sees a woman and says, ours, he's making a claim. Not just for himself, for his family, his bloodline. He's saying that woman belongs with them, that she's meant to be part of their legacy. That's archaic, sexist. I'm not property. I know, and in any other context, I'd agree with you. But the necklace, he gestured toward the bedroom where I'd left it. The Yaksakwa Moguoli has its own legend. Every Min bride for 400 years has worn it on her wedding day. And there's a saying, the necklace knows its own. When a woman wears it, if she's meant to be part of the family, it won't let her go. That's ridiculous. Is it? Try to take it off tomorrow, see if the clasp opens. Chills ran down my spine. You're saying it's cursed, that it'll trap me. I'm saying it has a will of its own. I'm saying every woman who's tried to force it off, who's tried to fight it, has died. But every woman who accepted it, who chose to wear it, lived long and happy lives as Min brides. He stood. I'm saying that when I saw you wearing it, every instinct I have said mine. Not because I want to own you, but because something in me recognized you. That's insane. Probably. He moved closer, not threatening, just present. But answer me honestly, Amara. When I caught you tonight, when you woke up in my arms, did it feel wrong? Or did some part of you feel like you'd just come home? I wanted to say it felt wrong. Wanted to tell him he was crazy, but I remembered the moment I'd opened my eyes. The feeling of safety despite the danger. The way my body had relaxed into his hold, like it recognized where it belonged. I don't know you, I whispered. Not yet, but you will. He reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away. His fingers touched my cheek, gentle as a prayer. I'm not going to hurt you, Amara. I'm not going to force you. But I am going to protect you. And I'm going to give you time to figure out if what you felt tonight was fear or recognition. And if it was just fear? Then when this is over, when the threats are eliminated and you're safe, I'll let you go. I'll set you up somewhere far from Seoul with enough money to rebuild. I'll make sure you never have to see me again. His thumb traced my jawline. But I don't think it was just fear, and I don't think you do either. He dropped his hand, stepped back. It's late. You should rest. Tomorrow there's much to discuss. Tomorrow you're going to show me the journals. Yes. And tomorrow I'm going to explain exactly what being under my protection means. What it costs. What it buys you. He moved toward the door. Sleep, Amara. You're safe here. I promise you that. After he left, I sat in the piano room for a long time, staring at the keys, imagining a 12-year-old boy watching his mother's fingers dance across them, imagining a young man who'd wanted to build beautiful things, but instead built an empire of fear, imagining what it would feel like to be the woman who could make him remember he was human. When I finally went back to the bedroom, I picked up the necklace, tried to open the clasp. It wouldn't budge. I tried. Again. Nothing. The clasp held like it had been welded shut, just like Dante said it would. I fastened it around my throat. It opened easily for that, and looked at myself in the mirror. The emeralds glowed against my dark skin. Beautiful, priceless. Cursed or blessed or just a piece of jewelry that happened to have a story. But as I stared at my reflection, I realized something. I looked different wearing it. Not just more elegant, more complete. Like a puzzle piece had clicked into place. I touched the stones. "What are you?" I whispered. "What have you done to me?" The necklace didn't answer. But in my reflection, I could have sworn I saw it glow brighter. Just for a moment. Just long enough to make me wonder if Dante's legends were more than just stories after all. Hit that like button if your heart is racing, because tomorrow, Amara discovers just how deep this rabbit hole goes. I woke to sunlight streaming through windows I didn't remember opening and the smell of coffee. For a moment, I was disoriented. This wasn't my apartment. The sheets were too soft. The room was too quiet. Then memory crashed back. The ballroom, the fainting, Dante's arms, the necklace that wouldn't let me go. I sat up, touching my throat. The yaksuk way mogioli was still there, warm against my skin like it had absorbed my body heat during the night. Mrs. Kim was setting up breakfast on a small table by the window. She smiled when she saw me awake. "Good morning, Miss Okafor. Mr. Min asked me to ensure you ate properly. He'll join you shortly." "I can eat by myself." "Yes, but will you?" Her eyes were kind but knowing. "Mr. Min worries. He's not used to worrying. It makes him intense." Before I could respond, she was gone. I climbed out of bed, washed my face, threw on the jeans and cashmere sweater I'd found in the closet last night. They fit perfectly, because of course they did. Dante probably knew my measurements better than I did by now. The breakfast spread was absurd. Fresh pastries, fruit, eggs, bacon, yogurt, granola. Enough for 3 people. I was examining a croissant that looked too perfect to be real when the door opened. Dante entered carrying a leather-bound journal that looked older than both of us combined. He'd showered, changed into dark slacks, and a black shirt that made him look like an avenging angel. Or a devil. Hard to tell the difference sometimes. "You're wearing the necklace," he observed, setting the journal on the table. I couldn't get it off. I tried to keep the accusation out of my voice. Failed. "The clasp won't open. Did you ask it to?" "Ask it. It's a necklace." "It's the yaksuk uai mogioli. There's a difference." He poured 2 cups of coffee, handed me one. "Try now. Ask it to open, out loud." This was insane. Talking to jewelry. But something about the way he said it, with absolute certainty instead of mockery, made me try. "Open," I said, fingers on the clasp. Nothing. "Please open." Still nothing. "I want to take you off. Let me go." The clasp clicked open so smoothly it might have never been stuck. I stared at Dante. He didn't look surprised. Just sad. Like he'd hoped for a different result. "It opened because you asked properly. Because you gave it a choice." He gestured to the journal. "Every woman who's worn this has written about it. How it responds to intention. How it knows when you're fighting versus when you're choosing. How it..." He stopped. "Read it yourself." I picked up the journal, opened to a page marked with a silk ribbon. The handwriting was elegant, old-fashioned Korean that I couldn't read. I don't read classical Korean. I'll translate. Dante moved to sit across from me. He took the journal, found a section, and began to read. His accent made the words sound like music. "My name is Yi Soo-jin, who became Min Soo-jin. I am writing this in the year 1624, 3 days after my wedding to Min Ji-ho. I write in case future daughters wish to understand the magic that has bound us." He glanced up at me, then continued. "I did not want to marry. My father sold me to the Mins to settle a debt. I was terrified. When Ji-ho placed the necklace around my throat, I tried immediately to remove it. It would not open. I pulled until my fingers bled. Nothing. I was certain I'd been cursed." His voice softened. But that night, as I wept, the clasp opened on its own. Jiho found me holding the necklace, confused. He said, "It will not trap you, Sujin. It will only stay if you wish it to." I was so angry I threw it at him. Told him to keep his cursed jewels. He caught it and Dante paused, something flickering across his face. He knelt before me and said, "Then I will earn the right for you to wear it willingly. I will court you as I should have from the start. I will make you want to put it on." I found myself leaning forward, caught by the story. Did he? Dante turned pages, found another section. 3 months have passed. Jiho is not the monster I believed. He brings me flowers, asks my opinions, listens when I speak. Yesterday he took me to see the ocean. As we watched the sunset, I realized I loved him. When we returned home, I asked him to place the necklace on me again. This time, when the clasp closed, it felt right, like coming home. The necklace knows, I think. It knows when love is real. He closed the journal. She wore it every day for 63 years until she died. Never once tried to remove it after that moment. That's one story, one woman. There are 9 more journals, all saying the same thing. He stood, went to a shelf I hadn't noticed before, and pulled down a stack of leather-bound books. 1847, Park Hyejin, widowed with 3 children. The necklace wouldn't stay closed until she stopped seeing Min Chang-ho's great-grandson as her jailer and started seeing him as her partner. He opened another. 1921, Kim Mi-young, ran away 3 times. The necklace opened easily each time, but she always came back. Finally told her husband, "I'm not running from the necklace. I'm running from my fear of wanting to stay." Another journal, 1972, my grandmother, Han Eun-ju. His voice roughened. She wrote, "The necklace is not a curse, it's a mirror. It shows you what you're afraid to admit." I loved Tae-young from the moment I saw him. The necklace just made me brave enough to stop pretending I didn't. He set the journals on the table between us. Every single woman says the same thing. The necklace doesn't force, it reveals. It responds to truth, not fear. I picked up his grandmother's journal, opened to a random page. Even without translation, I could see the passion in the handwriting, the care with which she'd formed each character. This wasn't a prisoner documenting her captivity. This was a woman in love, sharing her story. "Why are you showing me this?" I asked. "What do you want from me?" Dante sat down, his eyes never leaving mine. "I want you to understand what you're part of now. I want you to stop seeing the necklace as a curse and start seeing it as what it is, a test, a choice. A way of knowing what's true beneath all the fear and logic and rational thought." He leaned forward. "I want you to know that I'm not going to force you to stay. But I am going to court you, like Jiho courted Sujin. Like every Min man has courted the woman wearing this necklace since 1624. Court me? We're not in the 17th century. No, but the tradition stands. You're wearing the Yaksok Uai Mogoli. That makes you mine to court until you decide if you'll be mine to keep. And if I decide no, then the necklace will open for you when you're ready to leave. It'll know when your choice is final. And I'll let you go with enough money to rebuild your life somewhere safe." His expression was solemn. "But until then, Amara, you're under my protection, in my home, wearing my family's most sacred heirloom. And I'm going to spend every day showing you why my ancestors believed in this magic. This is insane. Yes." He smiled slightly. "But answer me honestly. If I'd met you at your bakery, if I'd walked in and bought pastries and asked you to dinner like a normal man, would you have said yes?" I wanted to say no. But something about the directness of the question demanded honesty. "I don't know, maybe, I gestured vaguely at him. "You're attractive, clearly intelligent, but also terrifying and criminal and completely wrong for me in every logical way." "Logic." He stood, moved around the table, held out his hand. "Let me show you something." I shouldn't have taken his hand, but I did. His fingers closed around mine, warm, strong, careful, and he led me through the apartment to a room I hadn't seen last night. It was an art gallery, a private one. Paintings covered the walls, sculptures stood on pedestals, all beautiful, all clearly worth fortunes. "This is my collection," Dante explained, his hand still holding mine. Every piece purchased legally. I pay artists double what collectors offer because I believe art should be valued. That beauty deserves to be protected. He stopped before a painting, a woman at a window looking out at the sea. The technique was Joseon dynasty, but the emotion was modern, raw. This was painted in 1625 by Sujin's daughter. She titled it, My Mother Watching for My Father. The woman in the painting wore the necklace. It glowed at her throat even in oils centuries old. My family has protected this painting for 400 years, not because it's valuable, though it is, because it shows that love, real love, outlasts everything. Curses, fear, death itself. He turned to me. I'm not asking you to love me, Amara, not yet. I'm asking you to give me the chance to show you why my grandmother believed in magic. Why Sujin stayed. Why every woman who's worn that necklace chose it in the end. What if I don't choose it? Then you don't, and I'll live with that. His thumb stroked across my knuckles. But I don't think the necklace would have let you wear it if you weren't meant to. I don't think you would have fainted into my arms at the exact moment I was looking for you if there wasn't something larger at play. You were looking for me? You said you didn't know I'd be there. His expression shifted, became guarded. I knew the necklace had resurfaced. I was at that event because I'd been tracking it for months. When I saw you across the room wearing it, He stopped. Started again. I thought you were bait at first, thought the parks were using you to draw me out. But then you fainted, and I caught you, and what? And you felt right in my arms, like you'd been missing and I'd finally found you. His voice dropped. I've held dying men, Amara. I've carried bodies. I've embraced lovers who meant nothing the next day. But holding you felt different. Felt like the only real thing I've experienced in 20 years of blood and violence and pretending I'm something other than human. I should have pulled away. Should have demanded he take me home. Instead, I found myself asking, what happens now? Now? Now I feed you. Then I show you the rest of the journals if you want to read them. Then, he checked his watch. Then I have a meeting I can't miss, business that can't wait. And you stay here, where you're safe, with guards outside and Mrs. Kim inside. You're leaving me here alone? Not alone, protected. There's a difference. He released my hand, and I immediately missed the warmth. I'll be back by dinner. Tomorrow I'll take you somewhere. Show you something that might help you understand why I believe in magic. Where? You'll see. He moved to the door, paused. Amara? The necklace opened for you this morning. You could take it off right now. Hide it in a drawer, but you're still wearing it. Why? I touched the stones at my throat. They were warm, alive. I don't know. Yes, you do. His eyes held mine. You're wearing it because some part of you wants to know what happens if you choose to keep it on. Some part of you is curious about the magic, about me, about what this could become if you stopped fighting it. He was right. I hated that he was right. Eat breakfast, he said softly. Read the journals if you want. Mrs. Kim will bring you anything you need. I'll be back before dark. Then he was gone, and I was alone in a billionaire's penthouse, wearing a cursed necklace, and wondering how my life had become a dark romance novel in the span of 24 hours. Comment right now, is the necklace magic or manipulation? Because what Amara discovers next will change everything. I spent the morning reading journals, all 9 of them. Mrs. Kim brought me more coffee, lunch I barely touched, and knowing looks that suggested she'd seen this story play out before. The journals were incredible. Each woman's voice unique, but the themes consistent. Fear, resistance, slow acceptance. And finally, love so consuming it filled pages with words that made my heart ache. Park Hye-jin, the widow from 1847, wrote, I thought love was soft, gentle. What I feel for him is violent, consuming. It terrifies me how much I want to stay, how right it feels to wear his family's jewels and bear his name. The necklace didn't trap me. It freed me to admit what I'd been too afraid to want. Kim Mi-young, the runner from 1921. 3 times I left. 3 times I came back. Not because I couldn't remove the necklace. It opened easily each time. Because I couldn't remove him from my thoughts. Couldn't imagine a life where I didn't wake up to his face. The necklace wasn't holding me. My heart was. Han Eun-ju, Dante's grandmother. Tae-young is not an easy man. His world is dark, violent, full of choices I don't always understand. But he looks at me like I'm the only light in his darkness. And I realized that's what the necklace shows. Not perfection, not ease, but partnership. The kind where two people choose each other every day despite everything screaming they shouldn't. By the time I finished the last journal, the sun was setting. I stood at the window, watching Seoul light up, and touched the necklace at my throat. "Is that what you are?" I whispered. "A test? A mirror? Something that shows me what I'm too afraid to admit?" The intercom buzzed. Mrs. Kim's voice. "Miss Okafor, there's someone here to see you. Says she's your friend." "Maya?" "Maya." Relief flooded through me. "Yes, let her up." Minutes later, Maya burst through the door and grabbed me in a hug so tight I couldn't breathe. "Oh my God, Amara, are you okay? What happened?" "One minute you were setting up desserts. The next Mindante was carrying you out like some kind of romance novel hero. And then these scary men in suits told me you were fine, but I couldn't see you, and..." She pulled back, noticed the necklace. "Holy shit. That's real, isn't it? That's the necklace from the estate sale. The one that older woman said would bring you luck. It's real. And it's not luck, Maya. It's..." I gestured helplessly. "It's complicated." "Complicated how?" She moved to the window, looked out at the view. "Complicated like you're dating a billionaire crime boss? Or complicated like you've been kidnapped and I should call the police? Somewhere in between." I sank onto the couch. "He says the necklace is worth 300 million won. That it belonged to his grandmother, that there's a legend attached to it. A curse or blessing depending on who you believe. And now I'm stuck in it." Maya's eyes widened. "Stuck how?" I explained. "The journals, the claim, the word ours. The way the necklace wouldn't open unless I asked it to properly. The 400 years of Min brides who'd worn it." When I finished, Maya was quiet for a long time. Then, "This is insane." "I know. But also kind of romantic in a deeply concerning way." "I know that too." She sat beside me. "Okay. Real talk. How do you feel about him? Not the situation, not the necklace. Him. Dante." I closed my eyes, tried to sort through the tangle of emotions. I barely know him. We've had maybe 3 real conversations. But Maya, when he looks at me, I feel seen in a way I've never experienced. When he talks about the necklace, about his grandmother, about wanting to court me, I should laugh. It should sound ridiculous. But instead, I'm curious. I want to know what happens if I say yes to this insanity. That's the necklace talking, the curse. Is it? Or is it me finally admitting I'm attracted to someone? That for the first time in years, I'm thinking about something other than debt and the bakery and just surviving. I open my eyes. What if the curse isn't making me feel this way? What if it's just giving me permission to feel it? Maya took my hand. "Be careful, Amara. Men like Mindante, they're dangerous. Not just because of what they do, but because they make you feel things that override your common sense. They make you forget that love shouldn't come with armed guards and kidnapping and ancient family curses." "I know, but..." The door opened. Dante stood there, and I watched Maya's body language change, saw her straighten, become defensive, put herself slightly in front of me. "Miss Chen," Dante said, his voice formal. "I'm glad Amara has her friend here. You're welcome to stay as long as you like." He looked at me. "May I speak with you? Alone?" Maya squeezed my hand. "I'll be right outside. Scream if you need me." After she left, Dante moved to the bar cart, poured 2 glasses of wine, handed me one. "Your friend is protective. That's good. You should have people who question my intentions." "Should I question them?" "Probably." He sat across from me. I spent the day handling the situation with the families. The Parks, the Huangs, the Russians, making it clear that you're under my protection, that anyone who touches you answers to me. And did they accept that? His expression darkened. Not all of them. The Parks in particular think I'm bluffing, think I won't start a war over a woman I just met. "Will you?" "I already have." He set down his glass. 3 Park warehouses burned today. Not by my direct order, but my men took initiative when they heard the Parks were planning to grab you from my building. Park Jin-woo called me personally an hour ago. Threatened you, threatened Maya. Said if I didn't hand over the necklace, he'd make sure you both disappeared. Ice flooded my veins. What did you say? I told him that if he so much as breathed near you, I'd kill everyone he's ever loved and burn his family's legacy to ash. Dante's voice was calm, matter of fact. Then I had my men deliver a package to his house, the head of his second in command. The man who'd been watching your apartment. I should have been horrified, should have run screaming. Instead, I heard myself ask, did he back down? For now, but Park Jin-woo doesn't take threats well. He'll push back, soon. Dante leaned forward. Which is why tomorrow I'm taking you somewhere safe, somewhere no one knows about. Where we can... He paused. Where you can decide if you want to stay in this world, or if you want me to find a way to end this. End it how? There are options, none of them easy, all of them dangerous. He met my eyes. But if you truly want to leave, if this is more than you can handle, I'll find a way. I'll protect you while I do it, even if it costs me everything. Why? Why would you risk your empire for me? Because you're wearing the yaksok y mogioli. Because I said ours. Because he stopped. Started again. Because every instinct I have says you're important. Not just because of the necklace, because of you. And I've learned to trust my instincts. They've kept me alive for 35 years in a world where most men don't see 40. I sipped my wine, trying to process everything. Where are we going tomorrow? My family's estate, in the countryside outside Yangpyeong. It's been in the Min family since we came to Korea. My great-grandfather built it. My grandfather died there. My grandmother's buried on the grounds. His voice softened. It's the only place I feel like I can breathe. Like I can be something other than what this city demands I be. And you want to take me there? Yes, I want to show you where I come from. Who I am beneath the violence and the fear and the reputation. I want... He stopped. Laughed quietly. I want to court you properly, like Jiho courted Sujin. Like my grandfather courted my grandmother. And I can't do that here, in the city, with enemies circling and threats multiplying every hour. Dante, I set down my wine. You said you'd find a way to end this if I wanted. What did you mean? His expression went cold, hard. The only way to truly end this is to eliminate the threat. All the threats. Every family that wants the necklace. Every rival who sees you as leverage against me. Which means... He met my eyes. Which means a lot of people would die. And some of them would be people who don't deserve it. Soldiers following orders. Men with families. Civilians caught in crossfire. You'd start a war. I'd end one. Permanently, brutally. In a way that would make every family in Korea too terrified to challenge me again. His jaw tightened. But that's only if you stay. If you choose to wear the necklace and be part of my world. If you choose me. And if I don't? Then I find you a new identity. New life, new city. I make you disappear so thoroughly that no one can ever find you. And I live with knowing I let you go. Because you deserved better than what I could offer. The weight of the choice pressed down on me. Stay and be part of his dark world. Leave and abandon everything, the bakery, my friends, my entire life, to start over somewhere as someone else. Or trust in 400 years of magic and see where this impossible story led. I stood, moved to where he sat, placed my hand over his. Tomorrow, take me to your family's estate. Show me who you are when you're not being the monster, and I'll decide. His fingers closed around mine. That's all I can ask. When Maya and I left that night, driven by Dante's men to a hotel he'd booked for her, then back to his building where I'd stay, she hugged me at the elevator. Be careful, she whispered. I know he's hot and rich and apparently worships you, but men like that are dangerous, Amara. They consume you, make you forget who you were before them. I know, I whispered back. But Maya? What if I don't want to remember who I was before? What if she was just surviving, and he's giving me a chance to actually live? She pulled back, studied my face. The necklace really won't come off, will it? I touched the stones. Tried the clasp. It opened easily. It will. But only when I ask it to properly. Only when I mean it. And do you? Mean it? I looked at the necklace in my palm. 400 years of magic, or 400 years of manipulation. Curse or blessing. Trap or choice. I fastened it back around my throat, felt it warm against my skin, felt right in a way I couldn't explain and wasn't sure I wanted to. No, I admitted. I don't mean it, not yet. Maya sighed. Then God help us both. Because I have a feeling we're about to find out if fairy tales can have happy endings in a world full of monsters. The elevator doors closed on her worried face, and I went back upstairs to Dante's apartment, to the bedroom that was starting to feel like mine, to the man who'd promised to court me like we lived in a century where that word still meant something. I fell asleep wearing the necklace, my fingers wrapped around the stones, and dreamed of women in old paintings whispering secrets about love and choice and magic that only revealed what was already true. If you're still watching, drop that subscribe button. Tomorrow, Amara sees Dante's world, and everything changes. Again. The drive to the estate took 2 hours. Dante drove himself, a black sports car that purred like a predator, with 2 SUVs following at a discreet distance. His security, I'd learned. Always there, always watching. We didn't talk much, just existed in the space together, the silence comfortable in a way that surprised me. He played music, Korean ballads I didn't recognize, their voices aching and beautiful. Sometimes his hand would drift to the gear shift, and I'd catch myself wanting to reach out to close the distance between us. I didn't. Not yet. The estate appeared as we crested a hill, a sprawling Hanok compound surrounded by rice paddies and gardens that stretched toward distant mountains. Beautiful in a way that made my chest tight. This wasn't just wealth. This was legacy, history, home. My great-grandfather bought this land in 1903, Dante said, as we pulled through traditional gates, planted the first rice himself, built the house with his own hands and a crew of immigrants who'd come over with him from China. It was supposed to be proof that we'd made it, that we belonged here. It's beautiful. It's mine. The one thing I own that isn't touched by blood or violence or compromise. He parked in front of the main house. Everything I do in the city, that's for the family, for the empire. But this place, this is for me. He came around, opened my door, helped me out with a hand that lingered on mine, led me inside. The interior was nothing like his city apartment. Here, everything was warm, lived in. Photos covered the walls, generations of Mins laughing, celebrating, living. A piano dominated the main room. The kitchen smelled like herbs and rice and something cooking. Ajuma Kim, Dante called. An older woman emerged from the kitchen, flour on her hands, a smile on her face. Dante, you didn't tell me you were bringing a guest? She saw the necklace at my throat and froze. Her smile grew wider. Oh, my dear, come here, let me look at you. She approached me like I was something precious, took my face in her floury hands. The yaksuk we mogioli. I never thought I'd see it again. Inju wore it the last time I saw her, right before. She stopped, tears in her eyes. She'd be so happy to know it's home, that it found its way back to a woman worthy of wearing it. I don't know if I'm worthy, I admitted. I barely understand what it is. None of them did at first, she patted my cheek. But you will. The necklace has good taste. Always has. She turned to Dante. I made your favorite, galbi jim. Dinner will be ready in 2 hours. After she bustled back to the kitchen, Dante led me through the house, showed me rooms full of history, his grandfather's study, still exactly as he'd left it, his grandmother's garden, now tended by staff but still, blooming with roses, a gallery of portraits, all those Min brides, all wearing the necklace, all looking at the artist like they held the world's secrets. We ended in a small shrine on the grounds, simple stone walls, wooden floor, and at the front, a memorial tablet. My grandmother, Dante said quietly, Han Unju, who became Min Unju, 1942 to 2015. Beloved wife, mother, grandmother. She asked to be cremated here. Said she wanted to watch over the rice paddies she'd planted with my grandfather. I moved closer to the tablet. Someone had left fresh flowers, recently. You come here often, I said, not a question. Every week, more, when the city gets to be too much. When I need to remember who I'm supposed to be protecting, why any of this matters. He stood beside me. She was the strongest person I ever knew. Survived things that would have broken most people, and yet she was gentle, kind. She taught me that strength and compassion aren't opposites. She sounds wonderful. She was. And she believed in magic, in the necklace, in the idea that love could find you when you least expected it and change everything. He looked at me. The last thing she said to me before she died, she made me promise that if the necklace ever came back, I'd protect the woman wearing it. That I'd give her the choice my grandmother was given. Court her properly. Let her decide for herself. Is that what you're doing? Keeping a promise to your grandmother. At first, yes, but now. His hand found mine. Now I'm doing this because I want to. Because you make me feel human again. Because I look at you and see possibility instead of obligation. We stood in the shrine, hands joined, surrounded by centuries of family history, and I felt it. The weight of legacy, the power of choice, the magic of standing at a crossroads where either direction would change everything. Show me the rice paddies, I said. Show me what you built here. We walked through fields of green rice, heavy with grain ready for harvest. Dante explained the different varieties, the harvest schedule, the process of making traditional rice wine. His voice changed when he talked about this, became lighter, younger, full of passion I hadn't heard before. This is what I'd do, he said, stopping at the top of a hill that overlooked the entire estate. If I could choose any life, I'd grow rice, tend these fields, build something beautiful instead of dangerous. Why don't you? Because I'm the head of the family, because my father spent his life building this empire and I can't just walk away. Because hundreds of people depend on me for their livelihoods, their protection, their futures. He turned to face me. Because some choices aren't really choices at all. And yet you're asking me to make one, to choose your world, your life, you. I'm asking you to choose differently than I could, to have the freedom I never had. His hands framed my face. I'm asking you to decide if magic is real. If 400 years of women choosing love over fear means something. If you can look at me, knowing what I am, what I do, and see someone worth choosing anyway. What if I can't? What if I'm too afraid? Then I let you go, and I live with it. And maybe I come here more often, to the place where I can pretend I'm someone else. His forehead touched mine. But I'm hoping you're braver than that. I'm hoping you'll take the risk. I thought about the journals. About Sujin, who was sold to the Mins but chose to stay. About Hyejin, who was terrified of wanting something for herself. About Mi-young, who ran 3 times before she stopped running. About Unju, who wrote that love in Dante's world wasn't soft, but it was real. I need to know something first, I said. The truth. No legends, no magic, no stories. Just the truth. Ask. Do you believe the necklace made you feel this way? Or would you have felt it anyway? Dante was quiet for a long time. Then, I've been looking for that necklace for 10 years. Ever since my grandmother died wearing it and the park stole it from her body. I've torn this city apart searching for it. Spent millions on investigations. Killed men who had information and wouldn't share. It became an obsession. Finding it meant honoring her memory. Meant reclaiming what was stolen from my family. He cupped my face. But when I saw you wearing it, my first thought wasn't about the necklace. It was about you. About how you looked like you'd walked out of one of those portraits. How you looked lost and determined and beautiful all at once. How something in my chest tightened when I saw you almost fall. His thumb stroked my cheek. The necklace gave me an excuse to approach you, to catch you when you fainted. To bring you into my world. But what I feel. That's all you, Amara. That's all real. How do I know you're not just telling me what I want to hear? You don't. That's the risk. He smiled slightly. That's the choice. Trust the magic, or trust me, or trust yourself. Or maybe trust all 3. The sun was setting, painting the rice paddies in golden shadow. In the distance, I could see the hanok where Ajuma Kim was making dinner, where generations of Mins had lived and loved and built something that lasted. I reached up, touched the necklace. Sujin asked Jiho to court her properly, to earn the right for her to wear this willingly. She did. I want the same thing. Not because I need convincing, but because I want to know who you are when you're not protecting me or claiming me or being the feared crime boss. I met his eyes. Court me, Dante. Show me the man beneath the monster, and then I'll decide. His smile was slow, devastating. How long do I have? As long as it takes. But I rose on my toes, pressed a gentle kiss to his jaw. I'm already more than halfway convinced, so don't take too long. I felt him shudder, felt his hands tighten on my waist. You're dangerous. Amara Okafor. More dangerous than any rival family. Good. You should be afraid of something. I am. I'm terrified you'll leave. That you'll decide I'm not worth the risk. That you'll take off that necklace and never look back. His voice dropped. I'm terrified because for the first time in 20 years, I want something I can't just take. Something I have to earn. Then start earning. I stepped back, out of his arms, even though it felt like tearing away from gravity. Show me who you are, Mindante, and I'll show you who I could become. Dinner was incredible. Ajuma Kim had cooked enough food for 10 people, and she watched with satisfaction as I ate more than I had in weeks. Dante sat across from me, wine in hand, and told stories about growing up here, about learning to grow rice from his grandfather, about his grandmother teaching him piano in the music room, about summers spent in these hills, pretending he was just a normal kid instead of the heir to a criminal empire. After dinner, he took me to the music room, sat at the piano. Request something. I don't know Korean songs. Then I'll teach you. He patted the bench beside him. Come. Sit. I sat, hyper-aware of how close we were, how his thigh pressed against mine, how I could feel the heat radiating from his body. He started playing, showed me simple notes, guided my fingers over the keys, and slowly, together, we made something beautiful from nothing. This is who you are, I said softly, watching our hands move together. Not the man in the city. This one. The one who makes music and tends rice paddies and tells stories about his grandmother. This is who I want to be with you. He turned his head, and we were so close I could count the gold flecks in his dark eyes. In the city, I'm the monster everyone fears. Here, with you, I can just be Dante. Just a man hoping he's enough. You're more than enough, I whispered. Then I kissed him. It was different from the brief touch before. This was real, deep. His hand slid into my hair, careful not to dislodge the necklace. My hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer. We tasted like wine and want, and 400 years of women who'd made this same choice. When we broke apart, we were both breathing hard. Stay tonight, he said against my lips. Not in the city. Here, where it's just us. Yes. He kissed me again, slower this time, reverent, like I was precious, like I was magic. And maybe I was, or maybe the magic was this. 2 people choosing each other despite every reason they shouldn't. 2 people trusting in legend and instinct, and the feeling that sometimes, against all logic, the universe puts you exactly where you're supposed to be. Later, lying in a guest room that overlooked the rice paddies, I touched the necklace at my throat, whispered into the darkness, is this real? Am I making the right choice? The stones warmed beneath my fingers, and I could have sworn I heard a whisper back, in a voice that sounded like it had traveled through centuries. Trust your heart, daughter. It knows the truth. I fell asleep smiling, the necklace warm against my skin, and dreamed of piano music and rice paddies and a man who'd promised to court me like we lived in a century where promises still meant forever. Like this video if you believe in magic, because tomorrow everything Amara thinks she knows is about to be tested. The next 3 days were a dream. Dante kept his promise. He courted me. He took me through the rice paddies at sunrise, teaching me about cultivation and terroir and the art of making something beautiful from the earth. He cooked for me, apparently his grandmother had taught him that too, and we ate on the veranda while he told me about his family's history. The good parts this time, the love stories, the triumphs, the moments when being a Min meant something other than violence. He played piano for me every evening, taught me more songs, let me rest my head on his shoulder while he filled the house with music that sounded like home. And he kissed me, often, kisses that started gentle and became desperate, kisses that made me forget why I'd ever been afraid, kisses that tasted like choice and magic and falling. On the 3rd night, lying in his arms on the couch while a fire crackled in the hearth, I realized I'd made my decision, not because of the necklace, Not because of fear or obligation or 400 years of legend. Because I'd fallen in love with Min Dante, the real one. The one who grew rice and played piano and looked at me like I was the answer to a question he'd been asking his entire life. I'm keeping it, I said into the comfortable silence. He went still beneath me. The necklace? The necklace. You, this, all of it. I turned to look at his face. I choose you, Dante. Choose this world, this life, even knowing what it means. Even knowing it's dangerous and dark and nothing like what I thought I wanted. Amara? My name came out rough. You can't make that decision here, not at the estate where everything is beautiful and safe. You need to see the city again. See the reality of what my life is. And then decide. I've already decided. You think you have, but... He sat up, taking me with him. Tomorrow we go back to Seoul. And I show you everything. The businesses I run, legitimate and otherwise. The protection rackets. The meetings with men who've killed people. The reality of being with me. And if you still choose me after that, then I'll believe you. You don't believe me now? I believe you love who I am here, the version of me that gets to exist in this bubble. His expression was pained. But the version in the city, he's harder, colder, capable of things that would make you hate me. And I need you to see him before you commit to wearing that necklace forever. The necklace already knows I'm committed. Maybe, but I need to know you're making an informed choice. He kissed my forehead. Tomorrow. Give me one more day to prove I'm worth the risk. The drive back to Seoul the next morning felt different. Heavier. Like we were leaving paradise and returning to a world where choices had consequences and legends had to survive in darkness. Dante's phone rang constantly. His expression grew progressively harder with each call. By the time we reached the city, the man beside me was almost a stranger, jaw tight, eyes cold, voice clipped. There's a situation, he said, hanging up from the latest call. Park Jin-woo made a move last night. Hit one of my warehouses, killed 3 of my men. I'm sorry, don't be sorry, be prepared. He pulled up to his building. I have to handle this, tonight, and I'm bringing you with me. What? Why? Because you said you choose this life, so you need to see what that means. His eyes met mine. You need to see who I become when someone crosses me. And then you decide if you can live with that man. The meeting was in a warehouse in Itaewon. Dante's men were already there when we arrived. Dozens of them, all armed, all watching me with curious eyes. The woman wearing the necklace, the one their boss had claimed. And in the center of the warehouse, tied to a chair, Park Jin-woo. I stopped walking. Dante's hand on the small of my back urged me forward. This is Park Jin-woo, Dante said conversationally, like we were at a dinner party. Jin-woo decided to test me, to see if I was bluffing about protecting you, to see if a woman I barely know was worth starting a war over. Jin-woo glared at me. That necklace belongs to my family. We took it fair. We killed for it. You stole it from my dying grandmother, Dante corrected, his voice soft, deadly. And now you've killed 3 of my men, which means I have a choice to make. He pulled out a gun, held it loosely at his side. I could kill you now, quick, painless. End this before it becomes a full war. Jin-woo spat at his feet. Do it. My family will burn your empire to the ground. Maybe. Or maybe I do something else. Dante's eyes met mine. What do you think, Amara? What's the appropriate response when someone kills people under my protection? When they threaten the woman wearing my family's necklace? The question froze me. He was asking me to decide. I can't. Yes, you can. This is my world. This is what choosing me means. Making decisions about life and death, about justice and revenge, about what we're willing to do to protect what's ours. His voice was inexorable. So choose, quick death, long suffering, or do we let him go and show mercy? Mercy, I whispered. Let him go. This has to stop somewhere. Something flickered in Dante's eyes. Disappointment, relief, I couldn't tell. He turned to Jin-woo. You heard her. She wants mercy. So here's what's going to happen. You go back to your family and tell them this war is over. Tell them the woman wearing the yaksakwa, Mogjuli, has a kind heart. Tell them that's the only reason you're alive. He raised the gun. Shot Jin-woo in the knee. Jinwoo screamed. Dante's expression didn't change. But tell them also that kindness has limits, that the next man who touches her, looks at her wrong, breathes in her direction, that man doesn't get mercy. That man gets erased, along with everyone he's ever loved. He turned to his men. Get him medical attention. Then take him home. Make sure he delivers my message clearly. Then he took my hand and led me outside. I was shaking, from shock, from seeing Dante transform into someone else, someone terrifying. In the car, I couldn't look at him. You shot him. I showed restraint. I wanted to kill him. Wanted to make him suffer the way my men suffered. But you asked for mercy, so I gave it. His hands were steady on the wheel. That's what it means to be with me, Amara. Finding the line between necessary violence and unnecessary cruelty. Making choices that haunt you, living in the gray. I don't know if I can do this. I know. That's why I brought you. That's why you needed to see. He pulled into the parking garage of his building. Take tonight. Think about what you saw. Think about whether you can love a man who does what I do. And tomorrow, you give me your answer. Stay or go. Wear the necklace or take it off. In his apartment, I went straight to the guest room, closed the door, tried to remove the necklace. The clasp held firm. I tried again, my fingers shaking. Let me go, please. I can't do this. I can't be with someone who... The clasp opened. I held the necklace in my hands, feeling its weight, its history. 400 years of women who'd made this choice, who'd seen the darkness and chosen to stay anyway. I thought about Dante's face when he'd shot Jinwoo. Cold, controlled, the monster everyone feared. Then I thought about his face when he played piano, when he showed me the rice paddies, when he kissed me like I was precious. Which one was real? Or were they both real, and that was the point? I put the necklace back on, felt it warm against my throat, felt right despite everything. Then I went to find Dante. He was in his study, drinking whiskey, staring at nothing. He looked up when I entered, and I saw it, fear. Naked, unguarded fear that I was here to say goodbye. I hate what you did tonight, I said. I hate that you shot him, that you're capable of that. That violence is your first language, and mercy is something you have to choose instead of something you feel. I know, but I understand why you did it. I understand that in your world, showing weakness gets people killed. That mercy without consequences is permission to hurt you again. That sometimes the least bad option is still terrible. I moved closer. And I understand that the man who shot Park Jinwoo is the same man who plays piano and grows rice and looks at me like I matter more than his entire empire. I sat on his lap, straddled him in the chair. His hands came to my waist automatically. I choose you, Dante, both versions, the monster and the man, because they're not separate. They're both you, and I... The words stuck in my throat. I forced them out. I love you, even though it's insane, even though we barely know each other, even though every logical part of my brain is screaming that this is wrong. His eyes closed. When he opened them, they were wet. You can't love me. You don't know what I've done, what I'll do again. Then tell me the worst thing you've ever done, and I'll decide if I can live with it. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, I killed my father, but I haven't told you how. He was dying already, liver failure from decades of drinking. The doctors said months, but months was too long. He was hurting people, hurting my mother's memory, destroying everything she'd built. His voice dropped. So I suffocated him with a pillow while he slept, held it over his face until he stopped struggling, watched the life leave his eyes. And when it was done, I called the doctor and said he'd passed peacefully. He met my eyes. I was 17, and I've never regretted it. Not once. I should have been horrified, should have climbed off his lap and run. Instead, I cupped his face in my hands. Your father was a monster who hurt your mother, who would have kept hurting people. You did what had to be done. I kissed him softly. And if that makes you a monster too, then I love a monster, and I'm not afraid. You should be, probably, but I'm not. He kissed me then, deep and desperate, his hands in my hair, mine fisted in his shirt. We stayed like that for a long time, just holding each other, breathing each other in. "The necklace opened for you," he said finally. I felt it. The moment you decided to stay, it opened. Because it knew. It knew I was making my choice freely, that I wasn't staying out of fear or obligation, that I was choosing you. Even after tonight. Especially after tonight. Because now I know. I've seen both sides, and I'm still here. He stood, carrying me with him. "Then there's something I need to do." He led me to his bedroom, set me gently on the bed, knelt before me. "Amara Okafor, will you marry me? Not in a month or a year, now, tonight. Let me make you my wife before you have time to reconsider, before the rational part of your brain talks you out of choosing magic and legend and a man who doesn't deserve you." That's not very romantic. I'm not a romantic man. I'm a criminal who fell in love with a woman wearing a cursed necklace. This is the best I can do. His hands framed my face. "But I'm asking anyway. Marry me. Wear my ring and my name and my grandmother's necklace. Be mine legally and spiritually and in every way that matters. And I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret it." I thought about my mother's bakery, about the life I'd been living, about Maya's warning that men like Dante consume you. Then I thought about 400 years of women who'd made this choice, who'd chosen love in darkness, who'd trusted in magic and legend and the feeling that sometimes the universe puts you exactly where you're supposed to be. "Yes," I said, "I'll marry you. Tonight. Tonight." He pulled out a ring, emerald cut, emerald surrounded by diamonds, the same green as the necklace. "This was my grandmother's engagement ring. She wanted you to have it. She's dead. How could she?" She left instructions, in case the necklace ever came home, in case I found someone worth keeping. He slid the ring onto my finger. Perfect fit. Like everything else about this. She believed in magic, Amara, and maybe magic believed in us. We married that night, in the shrine at his estate, with a Juma Kim as witness and a Buddhist monk who didn't ask questions. I wore a simple white hanbok I found in the closet. The necklace glowed at my throat. The ring sparkled on my finger. And when Dante said, "I do," when he kissed me as his wife, I felt the necklace warm. Felt it settle against my skin like it had been waiting for this moment. Like 400 years of magic had led to this. Me choosing him choosing me. Both of us choosing love in spite of logic. Later, in his bed, with his hands learning my body and mine learning his, I whispered, "Am I crazy? Did I just marry a man I've known for less than a week?" "Yes." He kissed my throat, my collarbone, the space between my breasts where the necklace rested. "But our grandmothers did the same, and our great-grandmothers, and every woman who's ever worn this necklace. Crazy is the Min way. What about my bakery, my debt, Maya, my entire life? Your debt is paid, your bakery is yours. Maya has a standing invitation to visit any time." He rose above me, his eyes burning. "And your life? Your life is here now, with me, in my world. Being the woman who makes me human. And if I hate it, if I can't adapt, then we'll figure it out. Together. That's what marriage means." He kissed me deeply. "But I don't think you'll hate it. I think you'll thrive. I think you were always meant to be here." The necklace just showed us what was already true. Maybe he was right. Maybe 400 years of magic knew better than I did. Maybe sometimes you have to trust in legend and instinct, and the feeling that despite everything telling you no, your heart is screaming yes. I'd fallen at a party, woken in a crime boss's arms, and somehow, impossibly, found home. Epilogue 6 months later. The bakery was thriving. Turned out, having unlimited capital and the protection of Seoul's most feared crime family was good for business. We'd expanded, hired more staff, and my mother's recipes were now being featured in food magazines across the city. Maya had forgiven me for the whirlwind marriage, mostly. She still gave Dante suspicious looks whenever he picked me up from work, but she'd stopped threatening to call the police. The other families had backed off after what happened with Park Jin-woo. Word spread quickly in Seoul's underworld. Min Dante's wife was untouchable. The woman wearing the yaksok Mogioli was off limits. I learned to navigate Dante's world. The business meetings where violence simmered beneath polite conversation. The charity galas where crime bosses pretended to be legitimate businessmen. The moments when I had to look the other way because some things were better left unknown. But I'd also learned to see the other side. The families Dante protected. The neighborhoods he kept safe. The code of honor that governed his world, brutal but consistent. And every night he came home to me. To our apartment overlooking the Han River. To the piano where we played duets. To the bed where he held me and whispered that I was the best thing that had ever happened to him. The necklace never left my throat. I'd stopped trying to take it off. It was part of me now, warm and alive against my skin. Tonight, we were at the estate. Dante was teaching me to make rice wine, his hands guiding mine through the process, his body pressed against my back. "You know what my grandmother wrote in her journal?" he said, his lips against my ear. "On the day she married my grandfather?" "What?" "The necklace brought me a man who sees me. Not what I can give him, not what I represent, but me. And in return, I see him. All of him. The darkness and the light. And I choose both." He turned me to face him. "That's what you did, Amara. You saw all of me and chose both. Because both are worth choosing, are they? Even after everything you've seen? Everything I've done? Especially after." I touched his face. "You're not a good man, Mindante, but you're a good man for me. And that's all that matters." He kissed me, deep and slow, tasting like rice wine and promises, and forever. "I love you," he said. "I'll love you until the day I die. And probably after. I love you too, my monster, my man, mine." The necklace warmed between us. 400 years of magic, 400 years of women who'd made impossible choices, and found that love was worth any risk. I'd fallen into Dante's arms by accident, but I'd chosen to stay on purpose, and that made all the difference. The end. If you made it to the end, you're incredible. Hit that subscribe button, drop a comment about whether you believe in magic, and like this video if you're a romantic at heart. Thanks for writing this wild story with me. Until next time, may you all fall into the right arms when you stumble. Sometimes the universe knows what it's doing,